This is lecture number 13.
Principles of animal nutrition. In this lecture, I will discuss about lipids definition, its function, its utilization or usage in the body, and then briefly about the classification. And then we will discuss about fatty acids and properties of fat. So these are the component of this lecture. So let us start with the word lipid. Lipid is derived from a Greek word that's a lipos, and it means fat. And the word fat it come from the Old English word fat, whereas the word oil it comes through a derivation of a Greek word eloin that usually refer to olive oil. Lipids are the substances of biological origin and they are insoluble in water. If we compare it with carbohydrates, carbohydrate and protein both are soluble, but lipids they are not soluble in water. Rather, they are insoluble. But these lipids they are soluble in organic solvents like chloroform, benzene, ethyl ether. Lipids is a general term. It includes fat, oils, and fat-soluble vitamins, as well as the hormones, usually the steroid hormones, wax, and some other related compounds like these glycolipids, where the lipid is linked with the glucose molecule. So briefly, lipid is a Greek word lipos that means fat, and fat comes from the English word fat, and oil comes from the Greek word eloin, which means olive oil. So these are the substances which are insoluble in water but soluble in organic solvents. And examples are fat, oil, fat soluble vitamins, steroid hormones, wax, and related compounds. Fat is a have a multiple functions in the body. It acts as an electron carrier, particularly during different reactions that carry electron, and it is also a carrier in different enzymatic reactions. The most importantly, it is a component of cell membrane and other biological membranes. And if we look at the body, particularly in case of animals or kingdom Animalia, it's the source of energy or the storage form of energy. And the most important thing in terms of energy, it provides more energy as compared to carbohydrate and protein on a unit basis. So here's a brief summary of fat. It's the source of energy, and it also a source of essential fatty acids. Those fatty acids which are not synthesized, so they are provided through the diet. So that play a role in a body structure, component of cell membrane, and it also linked with the protein and like lipoproteins that carry lipid from one place to the other place or from one tissue or one organ to the other one. Different hormones they are made up of fat, particularly the steroidal hormones, and it is also a component of bile salt, fat soluble vitamins, vitamin A, D, E, and K. They are fat solubles, and they are again they are not soluble in water, rather they are soluble in fat. From dietary point of view, fat makes the diet palatable. If we feel that there is a powderiness in the diet, it is less palatable, and if we add fat, that becomes palatable. Like if you look at eating a simple bread, chapati, or taking the protha, so that makes a difference, and that difference is due to the fat. Second is satiety. By taking less amount of fat, we feel more satiable as compared to carbohydrate. The reason being, if you look at this first point, it's the greatest energy per gram of food. 1 gram of oil or fat gives 9 calories. So this is the major difference between carbohydrate and proteins. They only give 4 calories, whereas in case of fat, it gives 9 calories. So it means we are getting 2.25 times more energy from a unit of fat as compared to a unit of carbohydrate. So it acts as an insulator and thus maintain the body temperature. The subcutaneous fat, the fat under the skin, that act as an insulator and that help to maintain the body temperature. It also improves the taste, aroma, texture of the food and helps in digestion also. Fat, it carries vitamin A, D, E, K, and it also provides the essential fatty acids which are required for body growth, for body nerves, for neurotransmission, from brain development, all that requires essential fatty acid. And it also acts as a cushioning agent. If you look at the visceral organs like heart or intestine, so they are have some internal cushioning. So that is provided this fat. So it protects internal organ from shock or injury. Good fat and essential fatty acids, if they are consumed in the right proportion, they have a very positive impact on the health. They, as I mentioned, fats are required for the development of the brain structure. This is a most important factor, particularly during the early stages of life. If we keep our children away from fat, so they have their stunted brain growth. So that's why we should add at least some amount of fat coming from the natural sources like this desi butter or desi ghee. So that's a very good source of essential fatty acids that helps in the development of the brain rather than using the commercially prepared oil or ghee products. Substances made from the fat, they also provide covering for the nerves and thereby allow nerve to carry uh, the impulses necessary for the function. So nerve impulses or the formation of acetylcholine that act as a neurotransmitter. So that require fat. So this is an important factor in terms of fat. So do not go away from fat. Rather, better to take fat and burn it. Next, this is the classification. So just a little disclaimer. All of the stuff in this presentation is mainly adopted from the McDonald book. I mentioned here the reference. That is Animal Nutrition 7th edition. So this classification is also from that particular book, and here the classification of lipid is into two main classes. The one is glycerol and the second is non-glycerol based lipid. Under the glycerol, there are two subclasses. One, they are known as simple lipids and the other one is known as compound lipids. Whereas under non-glycerol, there are sphingomyelins, cerebrosides, wax, steroids, terpenes, and icosanoids. These are the examples of non-glycerol. So under the glycerol, simple and compound. So simple is the simple fat that composed of fatty acids, and under the compound, where fat molecule is linked with another nutrient, like if it is linked with carbohydrates, it's a glycolipid. So if there is a glucose carbohydrate, it's a glucolipid. In other case, if it is galactose, then it's a galactolipid. Then phosphoglyceride, where there is a attachment of phosphoric acid. So there are two types, lecithin and cephalin are the phospholipids that are found in the body. This is the old classification of fat where there's a concept of simple lipids, compound lipids, and third one is the derived lipids. But we will follow the classification provided in the book by McDonald. Plant lipids, there are of two types. The one is known as structural lipids and the other one is known as storage lipids. Structural lipids, they are almost 7% of the leaves of higher plants. They have the structural lipids and it is present in the membrane and also as a protective surface layers. The membrane lipids, they are normally present in mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, and plasma membranes. And they are mainly contain these glycolipids and phosphoglycerides. Whereas the surface lipids like the wax and there is a minor contribution from the long chain hydrocarbons, cutin and fatty acids. Cutin is a type of wax uh, and they are mainly component of the plant cuticles and they cover the aerial surface of the plant. So that help or you can say that protect plant from water transpiration. So that help in retaining the water in the plant. Next is storage lipids, usually present in the fruit and seeds of the plant, and they are mainly in the form of triglycerides. So when we talk about the plant lipids, they contain more than 300 fatty acids, and out of those, 7 fatty acids are in common occurrence. And the most abundant one is the alpha linolenic acid. I will not going for the technical name, we will discuss later. So alpha linolenic acid is most abundantly present in the plant. So alpha linolenic acid is an essential fatty acid. So that's why mostly we emphasize to take plant lipids rather than taking the animal lipids. But animal lipids have its own importance, and many essential fatty acids are also present animal lipid, but mostly animal lipids are saturated fat, particularly if we are getting it from the ruminant animals. So under the saturated fat, palmitic acid that contain 16 carbon, technically hexadecanoic acid, and the monounsaturated fatty acid, that's the oleic acid or octadecanoic acid. It contains 18 carbon, so they are the common type of fatty acids. Most abundantly, alpha linolenic acid, and commonly under the saturated palmitic acid and non-saturated monounsaturated oleic acid. Then about the animal lipids, again they are the major form of energy storage in case of animal, because starch is the major storage form of energy in case of plant, particularly in the seed, and in animals, major energy storage is fat. So they are mainly present in the form of a fat, not oil. Oil is present in case of plant. So this fat or animal lipids, they are present in the adipose tissue, and 97% of the lipids, they are present in the adipose tissue containing fat. And it gives 39 megajoule of energy per kg diameter basis, whereas when you compare it with the glycogen, that gives 17 megajoule. So almost you can say more than twice. Stored fat, which is stored in the body, that is an anhydrous fat. So if you remember the body composition, we have discussed that when there is more fat in the body, then overall the body water contents are less. So fat is anhydrous, so that's why the water content they are comparatively less when we compare it with the thin or slim individuals. So 6 times as effective as glycogen as a stored form of energy. The reason being it's more energy. Structural lipids are in the form of mostly phosphoglyceride, and they are present in muscles and adipose tissues. And in liver, there is only 2 to 3% of the phosphoglyceride. Non-glyceride or neutral lipid like cholesterol and the esters of the cholesterol, they are again present in the muscles, but their amount is less as compared to the structural lipids. Here you can see the example of different plasma membranes, like in case of mouse, liver cells, then human erythrocyte, amoeba, rat, liver, nuclear membrane, mitochondria. So all that membranes, they contain this fat as major constituents. Almost 54% of the lipid that is present in the membranes, then 43. So when we talk about the classification of lipid, there are few definitions which, if we can understand, we can easily understand about the fat. The first is fatty acid. Fatty acids are defined as a long chain linear hydrocarbons, carboxylic acid. At one end, there is a carboxylic acid and they are unbranched. Then when we talk about the triglyceride, so these are the fatty acids. Triglyceride consist of fatty acids which are uh, basically esterified with the glycerol molecule. Phospholipids, lipids that contain one or more phosphate group. Then comes the glycolipids. They have carbohydrate component. Then eicosanoids. This is a family of derivatives of arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid derivatives are the family that we say is an eicosanoid family. So arachidonic acid contains 20 carbons. Then comes the steroids. Steroids, example is the cholesterol. So they have a basic structure that consists of perhydro cyclopentanophenanthrene ring system. If you look at this cholesterol structure, so this is the cyclopentanophenanthrene ring. So this is present in case of particularly the steroids. Lipoproteins, that's a complex of lipid and protein, and basically the fat they circulate in the blood in the form of this lipoproteins. Mentioned about this cholesterol, this is an organic molecule which contains 27 carbon atoms. Then comes about the fat and oils. Oil is liquid at room temperature and it is more reactive. The reason being it contains more unsaturated fatty acids. Whereas the fats, they are solid at room temperature and they mostly is a stored form of the energy in the body. Important role of fat is to maintain the body temperature. So they help in thermoregulation through making an insulation or thermal insulation, particularly the subcutaneous fat. There is also brown fat depot, which we see in case of hibernating animals. So the mitochondria of cold adapted and hibernating animal provide with the cytochromes. So what is the importance of this? During oxidation, that oxidation is uncoupled from ATP production and all energy is produced as a heat. Here is an example of this palmitic acid which yield 39 megajoule of energy as compared to 13 megajoule. A lot of energy is produced when palmitic acid is oxidized and that oxidation is uncoupled from the ATP. So that help in the regulation of the body temperature of these cold adapted and hibernating animals. So a few characteristics of the fatty acids: they are a long chain linear hydrocarbons, carboxylic acid. Basically, these are the carboxylic acid. They have a long chain of hydroxycarbons. Usually, they have an even number of carbon atoms from 12 to 20 normally, but short chain fatty acids are also present. The carbons are numbered when we give number. Usually, they are numbered from the carboxylic end side, and they are amphiphilic, so they have a polar end, and rest of the molecule is non-polar. Fatty acid may be saturated where there is no double bond, or it may be unsaturated where there is one or more double bond. Unnaturally occurring double bond, they have a cis configuration. Cis configuration, let me know, basically the hydrogen bonding on the same side of the chain. And two or more double bond exist as non-conjugated double bond. Conjugated is a system in organic chemistry where the atoms they are covalently bonded with alternating single and multiple bonds. So they have non-conjugated double bonds. Longer chain and saturation increases the melting point of the fatty acid. It means the short chain fatty acid and unsaturated fatty acid, they have a low melting point as compared to the long chain and saturated fatty acids. So they have ionizing power and they are ionized at different physiological pH. So fatty acid consists of a chain of carbon atoms, say the hydrocarbon atoms, and Its chain may be from 2 to 24 or more carbon items. There is a carboxylic group at one end of the chain, so that end is known as alpha end. If there is a presence of COOH group, that side is known as carboxylic end side, and that end is known as alpha end. Whereas the other end of the chain have the methyl group, so that end is known as omega end. If you look at this example, this is the example of lauric acid, that is a 12 carbon fatty acid. So here is the carboxylic group. So this is known as alpha end or carboxylic group end side. Here is the CH3 or methyl group. So this is known as methyl end group or omega end group. Then from these fatty acids, there is a formation of triglyceride. This is a glycerol molecule, an alcohol that have 3 carbon atoms, and at each position, a different type of fatty acids can be attached. Like all the 3 positions, they might contain or they might occupied by the a different type of fatty acid. There might be the similar type of fatty acids, or might be the one fatty acid at one position, second at different, other second and third at third position. So they might have the same or they might have the different type of fatty acid. So that makes it triglyceride if all the 3 positions they are occupied by the fatty acids. So if only 2 positions, so it is known as triglyceride or diacyl glycerol. If one, it is monoacyl glycerol, or if 3, then it is a triacyl glycerol or triglyceride. So depending upon the type of fatty acid, we name it. Here, all the 3 positions they are occupied by the lauric acid, 12 carbon fatty acid. So it is known as tri-lauryl glycerol. So this is a triglyceride. It may be either fat or oil, depending upon the type of fatty acid attached, position 1, position 2, and position 3. So this is a type of triglyceride. Here you can see the first position on the glycerol molecule that is esterified with the fatty acid that contains 16 carbon, 14, 15, and 16 carbon. So 16 carbon fatty acid is a palmitic acid. So one palmitoyl, and the second position is occupied by the oleic acid. So 2 oleal, and third position is occupied by the stearic acid, again the 18 carbon, and it is known as 3-steariol glycerol, or you can say in a simple form, it can be named as palmito-oleostearin. So this is the triglyceride. So this triglyceride can be hydrolyzed, can be degraded into its original form, the one glycerol and 3 fatty acid. So as a degradation of this triglyceride, there is a production of 1 glycerol and 3 fatty acids. It is completely hydrolyzed. So on the basis of number of carbon items, we can name the fatty acid as short chain fatty acid, long chain fatty acid, or medium chain fatty acid. Short chain fatty acids are those where number of carbon items are less than 8. So if they are between 8 to 12, they are known as medium chain fatty acids, and if they are more than 12, then they are known as long chain fatty acids. How we can name a fatty acid? So if you remember the butyric acid that contain 4 carbon items, so that is from the butane. So from this butane or alcohol, if we replace this E with OIC, so that becomes butanoic acid. Similarly, for the 8 carbon caprylic acid, we name it octan. It means 8, and then we can add OIC, octane. After the replacement of E, there is addition of OIC, so it becomes octanoic acid. Basically, it's a or caprylic acid. Then for our palmitic acid that contains 16 carbons, so hexa and deca, that become the 16 and noic, OIC. So it becomes hexadecanoic acid. So this is how we can name saturated fatty acids. This is how we can name the saturated fatty acid. By simply a replacement of the last E with OIC, we can name it, and we can, for technically, we can mention the number of the carbon items. Then if there is a double bond, then we have to replace the A and E with the enoic. So butane become butanoic. If you look at this palmitic acid, so it's a hexadecanoic acid. But if there is a one double bond, so that become hexadecanoic acid. It's the 8 carbon atom, and you can see it's a straight chain without any double bond, and it's a long chain with 16. So depending upon the chain length, the chemical properties, the physiological functions, and their solubility of the water increases. We're not going into detail about chemical properties and physiological functions. Usually, their melting point changes and their solubilization in the water decreases. Only short chain fatty acids, they have little absorption in the water. So number and position of the double bond, on that basis, if there is no double bond, we say it's a saturated fatty acid. Single carbon-carbon bonding is there. But if there is a double bond, we say it's an unsaturated fatty acid. And in case of mono unsaturated fatty acid, there is one double bond. And in case of polyunsaturated fatty acids, there are more than 2 double bonds. So here's an example of unsaturated fatty acid where there is no double bond. So it's a 16 carbon palmitic acid. Then again, an example of saturated fatty acid. There is no double bond and it's an 18 carbon stearic acid. Now look at this. This is also an 18 carbon fatty acid, but it contains one double bond. So it is a monounsaturated fatty acid because there is only one double bond. So 18 carbon, 18 if you define it in terms of its technical name, so octa and deca, it becomes the 18 because it has one double bond. So we put enoic, so it becomes octadecanoic acid. If you look at this picture, there is a mention about the carbon atom where the double bond is present. So it's a cis9. Cis means the hydrogen atoms, they are on the same side of the chain at double bond. So that's why it's a cis. This is the carbon number 9, and 18 is the total number of carbon atom, and 1 is the number of double bond. So then comes the linoleic acid. So this is an example of again 18 carbon polyunsaturated fatty acid. Why it is poly? Because here the number of double bond, they are more than 1. Here there are 2 double bond. So again, on the basis of number of carbon, we name it octadeca because there are 2 bonds we mention here, di and then enoic. So it becomes octadeca dienoic acid. So it's a linoleic acid. And if we count the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the first double bond is at 9, then 10, 11, and 12. The second one is at 12. So you can also name it, or you can mention the double bond position: linoleic acid, cis 9, cis 12, 18, and 2. So again, on the basis of number of double bonds, the physical nature of fatty acid is saturated. We have already discussed, but if there is a no double bond, it's a saturated fatty acid. They are solid at room temperature. So these are the physical properties. If it's a monounsaturated fatty acid, they are thick, liquid, or soft solids. But polyunsaturated fatty acids, they are liquid at room temperature. Then cis and trans configuration. Cis simply where the hydrogen atoms, they are positioned on the same side of the double bond. And in case of trans, hydrogen atoms, they are present on the opposite side of the double bond. So they are known as trans fat. So usually trans fat is not considered as good for health. And this trans configuration sometimes occurred when we do hydrogenation of the oil by using hydrogenation process. So that trans fatty acids are not good. If you look at certain products or different type of brands in the market, they have mentioned trans fat free oil. So this is the cis configuration, and this one is the trans configuration. Again, the same about the cis and cis configuration, that is for unsaturated fatty acid. Then there is another nomenclature. Before that, we have discussed about the nomenclature of this alpha nomenclature, okay, where we start counting the number of carbon atom from the carboxylic end side. So based on the position and type of double bond relative to the carboxylic end of the fatty acid, we uh, uh, that nomenclature is known as alpha nomenclature. If we name the fatty acid from the methyl end side, so that methyl end side is known as omega nomenclature, and that is known as N system of nomenclature or giving name to the fatty acid. So fatty acid categorized into group based on where the first double bond is located relative to the methyl end group, and that is known as N system. Now look at this. We have three type of fatty acids: omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9 fatty acids. So in this case, we start counting the position of the double bond from the omega end side or methyl end side. So this is a linoleic acid, 18 carbon, and if you start counting from this alpha end side, then the first double bond appear at carbon number 9. But in case of omega or N nomenclature, we start counting from this side. So from this side, here is the first carbon, second carbon, and third carbon. So it means that is a double bond which is present at the third carbon. So all those fatty acids where the first double bond is at 3 number carbon, so they are known as omega-3 fatty acids. Similarly, for omega-6, again linoleic acid, that is again 18 carbon, but it contains only 2 double bonds. So here the first is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they are known as omega-6 fatty acids. If you look at the oleic example, you go over there, oleic acid. So that contain the first double bond. If we start from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here the first double bond is at 9 position. So that is known as N9, omega-9. But in most of the cases, we mainly consider these omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids.
In the previous slides, we have discussed about how we can name omega fatty acids. We start naming from the omega end side. We have three main categories of omega fatty acids: omega-9, omega-6, and omega-3. So depending on the position of first double bond in a chain, if it is at number 3 carbon, that is known as omega-3 fatty acid. If that is at 6 carbon, that is known as omega-6 fatty acid. So under the omega-3 fatty acids, we have alpha linolenic acid, eicosa pentaenoic acid, and glucosa hexaenoic acid. And for omega-6 fatty acids, examples are linoleic acid, arachidonic acid, and eicosa tetraenoic acid. These are the omega-6 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids are polyunsaturated fatty acids, and these fatty acids are found mainly in fish and fish product. They are also found in case of plant sources. They are available in linseed or flaxseed. The importance of omega-3 fatty acid can be recognized from the fact that they inhibit the formation of thromboxane A2 that is required for platelet aggregation and clot formation. So in this way, omega-3 fatty acids avoid heart diseases and they decreases the risk of heart disease. So if you want to, you can say name and to know about the chemical structure or formula of different fatty acids. So they are listed over here. starting from the acetic acid that contain two carbon items, then propionic, butyric, caproic, caprylic, and up to 24 carbon items. Then for unsaturated fatty acids, the first one is the palmitoleic acid that contains 16 carbons, then oleic acid 18 carbon with only one double bond. Linoleic acid, that is also known as N6 fatty acid, it contains two double bond, whereas linolenic acid have three double bond, and this fatty acid is known as N3 fatty acid. Arachidonic acid, which contains 20 carbon, is also known as N6 fatty acid. So here is a list of essential fatty acids. Why we say these are the essential fatty acids? The reason being they are not synthesized in the body. So that's why whatever which is required through the diet, so that stuff is known as essential or dietary essential. So linoleic acid and linolenic acid, both are having 18 carbon items, but the difference is number of double bonds. Linoleic acid have two double bond, whereas linolenic acid it have three double bond. These two fatty acids, they are dietary essential and they must be present in the diet. If we look at the arachidonic acid, though this is also an essential fatty acid, it contains four double bond with 20 carbons. So mammals cannot synthesize fatty acid with double bond closer than carbon atom number 9 from the terminal methyl group end site. So that's why we say these are the dietary essential fatty acids. Similarly, linoleic acid and alpha linolenic acid, they are referred as essential fatty acid. The reason being they contain their first double bond at carbon number 9. Then comes this arachidonic acid. It is synthesized in the body from the linoleic acid. So that's why if diet is not that is not having a sufficient amount of arachidonic acid, we should not worry because it can be synthesized. Essential fatty acid form part of various membranes and play an important role in lipid transport and synthesis of different lipoprotein enzymes. They are the source material for the synthesis of eicosanoids. Uh, so arachidonic acid is an eicosanoid, 20 carbon fatty acid. So it can be synthesized from these linoleic and linolenic acids. These essential fatty acids, they are helpful for the synthesis of prostaglandins, thrombosins, and leukotrienes. These are the hormone-like substances that regulate many functions, including blood clotting, blood pressure, smooth muscle contraction, and the immune response in the body. And they are also source of other important 20 carbon acids in the form of eicosa pentaenaic acid, then eicosa hydroxy eicosa trienaic acid, and doucosa hexaenaic acid. So that's why we say these are the essential fatty acids because they have a number of roles in the body. These essential fatty acids, they involve in maintaining the fluidity of mammalian cell membrane because these are the polyunsaturated fatty acids, so they maintain the fluidity. Eicosa pentaenaic acid, that is an omega-3 fatty acid or N3 fatty acid. It is the precursor of three series of prostaglandins and thrombosin, which are basically anti-inflammatory and they inhibit platelet aggregation, and the 5 series of leukotrienes. Similarly, doucosa hexaenaic acid, that is also N3 fatty acid, it is thought to play an important role in brain and retinal functions. And this EPA and hydroxy tetraenaic acid, have a modulating effect on the production of icosanoid from the arachidonic acid. So this is all about these essential fatty acids. Now we will discuss about the properties of fat. The first property is hydrolysis. Hydrolysis is simply the breakdown of a triglyceride or a fat molecule when it come in contact with alkali, or you can say when it is treated with alkali, it get hydrolyzed. That result in the production of a glycerol molecule, and there is also a formation of soap. So this process is also known as saponification. So it is the hydrolysis of an ester under basic condition to form an alcohol and the salt of carboxylic acid. Saponification is mainly used uh, to refer the reaction of a metallic alkali like sodium or potassium with fat and oil to form base, with fat and oil to form soap. So saponifiable substances are those that can be converted into soap. So this is the way of making soap. If you look at the reaction, here is the triglyceride or a fat molecule, and it is treated with 3 molecules of alkali. So that result in the formation of a glycerol molecule, and this uh, alkali molecule react with the fatty acids, and that makes a soap. So this process of hydrolysis is also brought by a different enzymes, and those enzymes are known as lipase enzymes. So they are present in the intestinal juice or pancreatic juice. So these lipases cause hydrolysis of the fat, but that type of hydrolysis is known as lipolysis. That is different from this saponification. So these enzymes, they have certain specificity and preferentially catalyze hydrolysis at particular position in the molecule. So in a triglyceride, the removal of fatty acid residues attached to carbon number 2 is more difficult than that position 1 and 3. So if you look at the structure of the fat, so the removal of this fatty acid from this carbon number 2 is difficult rather than the removal of this carbon number 1 and carbon number 3. Sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide both can be used for saponification purpose, but when we use sodium hydroxide, due to the caustic nature of the sodium hydroxide, there is a formation of soap which is a hard soap. But if we use potassium hydroxide, then we get a soft soap. Vegetable oils and animal fats, their fatty acid ester in the form of triglyceride, and this alkali break at the bond and releases this fatty acid and glycerol. Soap may also be precipitated by adding salt, and that makes a saturate of sodium chloride. So saponification number is a number, or it is the number of milligram of potassium hydroxide required for the saponification or hydrolysis of 1 gram of fat. This number is large for short chain fatty acid, while it is smaller if the molecular weight of the fat is on the higher side or molecular weight of the fat increases. So in general, you can say it is a measure of chain length of the fatty acid. Now you look at the table, here is the saponification number. The saponification number is higher when the chain length is, or the molecular weight of a fatty acid increases. Whereas if you look at like sunflower, so sunflower mostly contain these polyunsaturated fatty acids because it's a vegetable, similarly soybean. So the saponification number is comparatively less as compared to the beef and butter or coconut. So under the natural condition, the product of lipolysis are usually a mixture of mono and diacyl glycerol with free fatty acid. And most of these acids, they are odorless, tasteless, but some of the lower ones, like this butyric acid or capric acid, they have a extremely powerful taste and smell. So such breakdown in edible fat make it completely unacceptable to the consumer. So if this hydrolysis occur and there is a production of these lower fatty acids, so that make this fat unacceptable to the consumer due to very extreme or powerful odor or smell. That is usually brought about by the lipases from the bacteria and mold. So lipases, they are derived from bacteria and mold, which are chiefly responsible for this type of spoilage. That spoilage is known as rancidity, and this type of rancidity is a microbial rancidity. So keep in mind, uh, there are many other type of rancidity. One is due to the sunlight, that is known as this oxidation, that is known as oxidative rancidity. But if it is due to the presence of lipase, and that lipase is produced by the microbial species, so that result in microbial rancidity and making that stuff unacceptable or not fit for human consumption. Then comes this oxidation. So oxidative rancidity is the degradation by oxygen in the air. The unsaturated fatty acid readily undergo oxidation at the carbon atom adjacent to the double bond to form hydroperoxides. There is a formation of free radicals. More free radicals can cause autocatalysis of the reaction. So such reaction is known as autocatalytic or autooxidation. So simply, oxidation is caused by the presence of oxygen that result in the production of hydroperoxide. So what happens? These hydroperoxides or free radical, they speed up the reactions and they cause they speed up the reactions, and that is known as autocatalytic or auto-oxidation process. So that you can say is speed up the oxidation of the stuff. So this oxidative rancidity is mainly associated with the degradation by oxygen and the double bond of unsaturated fatty acid. They can be cleaved and result in the formation of the free radicals. Such type of oxidation, yeah, such type of rancidity which result in the production of free radical uh, is quite harmful if such type of oil they have been consumed by the individuals. So there are some stuff which are available that can be used to avoid this oxidation. So those stuffs, those chemicals which avoid this oxidation, they are known as antioxidants. Natural fat possesses a certain degree of resistance to this oxidation. So that is due to the presence of compound which are naturally present in that fat. They are known as antioxidants. So they prevent the oxidation of the unsaturated fat until they have been transformed uh, into a inert product. So in the market, number of products they are available. Like I have just put the example of a natural oxidant, that is a vitamin E. If you look at the packing of different type of oils or ghee, there has been written enriched with vitamin E. So basically, that is not an enrichment. Rather, they use that vitamin E as a natural antioxidant. Some synthetic products, they are also available in the market, like BHT, butylated hydroxy, toluene, then BHA, butylated hydroxy, anisole. So these are the antioxidants which are available in the market and they can be used. Ethoxyquin is also a product which is also available in the market to avoid this peroxide formation. So this is how this oxidation occurs. This fatty acid, and there is a uh, presence of oxygen molecule, and that cause this oxidation of the fatty acid and due to the formation of this HO2. Due to oxidation, there is a production of short chain fatty acids, fatty acid polymers, aldehyde, ketones, epoxides, and hydrocarbons. So acid and alkanes or aldehydes, they are the major contributor to the smell and flavors associated with the oxidized fat. So that reduces the palatability of the stuff when they are present in a high amount. When there is an oxidation of saturated fatty acid, that result in the development of a sweet, heavy taste, and the smell, which is commonly known as ketonic rancidity, that is due to the formation of ketone bodies. If you look at this, so there is a formation of it get oxidized, and that result in the formation of this pentanone along with this carbon dioxide. So this is due to the presence of methyl ketone resulting from the oxidation. So this is a methyl ketone that is produced as a result of this oxidation. So such type of rancidity is known as ketonic rancidity. So we have discussed three types of rancidity: microbial lipase enzyme, that is a microbial rancidity, then through oxidation, that is oxidative rancidity, and third one is when there is a formation of ketone body, that is known as ketonic rancidity, which is in case of saturated fatty acid. Next comes the hydrogenation. Hydrogenation is the process where hydrogen is added, and due to the addition of hydrogen, the unsaturated fat is converted into saturated fat. This phenomena is common in case of ruminant animal. If we feed or give them oil, they get saturated when they pass through the rumen due to the presence of microorganisms. Like here, the oleic acid that contain one double bond, it yields stearic acid after hydrogenation. So iodine number is the indicator of this hydrogenation process. So if there is a fatty acid which is a saturated fatty acid, its iodine number is 0. While those which are unsaturated fatty acid, their iodine number is higher. So we can use iodine number as a measure of degree of hydrogenation. So iodine number is a measure of degree of hydrogenation. A completely saturated fatty acid has 0 iodine number. Hardening is of producing firm hard fat from vegetable and fish oil in the manufacturing of margarine. Then hardening also improves the keeping quality of the fat, that increases the melting point of the saturated fatty acids. So ultimately we can keep them for a long time. During this hydrogenation process, a nickel is normally used as a catalyst. So that's why some of the researchers are of the view that if we are using ghee that is produced through this hydrogenation process that contain these heavy metals like nickels, that is sometimes it's toxic for human health if that is present in a high amount. Then comes the classification. We have discussed in detail about the simple lipids, and now here comes the compound lipids. The first one is glycolipid. So two of the alcohol group of the glycerol, they are esterified by fatty acid, and the other is linked to a sugar residues. The lipid of grasses and clovers are predominantly galactolipids. So galactose is there, and almost 60% of these lipids of grasses and clovers contain the galactolipid. There is an example of this. Here you can see at position R2, there is an attachment of this galactose residue that makes the galactolipid. So this is a monogalactosyl. So in grasses, mainly of the they are monogalactosyl type, but smaller quantities of digalactosyls are also present, where there are two glucose residues at the first carbon atom. The fatty acid of galactosides of grasses and clovers consists largely of linoleic and alpha-linolenic acid. So these two fatty acids, linoleic and alpha-linoleic acids, they are common in case of grasses galactolipids. Then comes animal tissue, where instead of galactolipids, glycolipids are present mainly. They are mainly present in the brain and nerve fibers. The glycerol of plant glycolipid is replaced by the basic unit nitrogenous base sphingosine. So in cerebrocytes, the glycolipids have the amino group of the sphingosine linked to the carboxyl group of a long chain fatty acid and the terminal alcohol group to a sugar residue, usually galactose. If you look at the structure, so this is the sphingosine structure that is linked with this galactose residue, and that makes this glycolipid. Then comes the phospholipids. In case of phospholipid, it contains phosphoric acid in addition to carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So it's the constituents of lipoprotein and lipoprotein complexes of the biological membrane. They are present in abundance in heart, kidneys, and nerve tissues. Myelin of the nerve axons, it also contains these phospholipids, and up to 50% of that is made up of these phospholipids. Egg are also one of the best animal source of this phospholipid. In case of plant, soybean contain largely a large amount of these phospholipids. If you look at the label of this every day, so they contain soya lecithin. So that is basically this phospholipids, and that lecithin is used to make that a smooth mixture of the contents. So in case of phosphoglycerides, they are formed by making this esterification of glycerol. Only two of the alcohol groups, they are esterified by the fatty acid, while the third is esterified by the phosphoric acid. The parent compound of phosphoglyceride is phosphatidic acid, that is considered as the simplest phosphoglyceride. If you look at this, R1 and R2 positions of the triglyceride, they are without phosphoric acid, whereas the R3 position contain H2PO4 rather than H3PO4. So it contains H2PO4. It is known as phosphatidic acid. Here is the detailed example. First, second, they are positions they are by the fatty acid, whereas the third position is occupied by the phosphoric acid. And then this phosphoric acid can also make a link with amino alcohols. Phosphoglycerides, they are commonly referred to as phosphatides. Phosphate group is then esterified by one of several alcohol like serine, choline, glycerol, inositol, and ethanolamine. Whereas chief fatty acids in case of phosphoglyceride is with a saturated fatty acid having 16 carbon and 18 carbon saturated fatty acid, and monoenic acid like oleic acid. Examples are under the phospholipid. One is the lecithin. So lecithin is probably the most common phospholipid. It is found in egg yolk, wheat germ, and soybean. I have already mentioned about soya lecithin. So lecithin is extracted from the soybean for use as emulsifying agent in the food. So lecithin is an emulsifier because it has both polar and non-polar property, which enable to cause the mixing of other fat and oil with water compound. So lecithin is also a major component in the lipid bilayer of cell membranes. Lecithin contain ammonium sulfate salt of the choline joined to the phosphate by the ester linkage. So the phosphoric acid in case of lecithin, that is esterified by the nitrogenous base choline, and more correctly we name lecithin as phosphatidylcholine. The common fatty acid residue at number 1, that's the palmitic or stearic acid. At number 2, they are the oleic, linoleic, or alpha-linolenic acid. The common sources are egg yolk, wheat germ, and soybean. So this is the carbon position 1 and 2 that contain the non-polar end, whereas the third position contains phosphoric acid. and that then combined with the choline, so it's a polar end. Second example is cephalin. Cephalin have ethanol amine rather than choline, so it is known as phosphatidyl ethanol amine, whereas lecithin was known as phosphatidyl choline. So it is this cephalin is a phosphatidyl ethanol amine. So here at position 1 are the same as lecithin, but at position 2 there are unsaturated, mainly linoleic, arachidonic, or glucosa hexaenoic acid. It is found in most of the cell membranes, particularly this brain tissues, and also found in the blood platelets. So the first lecithin that have the non-polar and polar end. Then comes the sphingomyelin. These are the sphingolipids. They have sphingosine instead of glycerol as the parent material. If you remember the structure of triglyceride, they have a glycerol and 3 fatty acids. Here, in case of sphingomyelins, there is a presence of sphingosine instead of the glycerol molecule. So they differ from the cerebrosides because they have their terminal hydroxyl group linked with phosphoric acid instead of sugar molecules. These are the surface active and they are important component of membrane, particularly the nervous tissue. So here's the sphingomyelins. So like lecithin and cephalin, sphingomyelins, they are surface active. They may contain up to 25% of the total lipids in the myelin sheath that protect the nerve cells, and they are absent from or present only in a very low concentration in energy generating tissues.